It's clear that video game consoles and the games themselves have gone through a rapid change of advancement. With the first generation home consoles beginning in 1972 to 1980, the Magnavox Odyssey made its way into the average citizen's home at only $100 a piece. The first exciting installment of video games was Pong, and also marked Nintendo's first step in the video game industry. A rather short-lived era, the second generation of video games spanned from 1976 to 1992, beginning with the 1292 Advanced Programmable Video System. The second generation is also known for being the golden age of arcade video games. Alongside the Magnavox Odyssey, the Atari 2600 rose up to conquer the video gaming world by storm with revolutionary games such as Pac-Man. Mattel then came out with the Intellivision, which served as a formidable rival for Atari. The third generation of video game consoles might come with better understanding when you hear the words NES and Sega. Starting in Japan as Famicom, the NES and Sega shifted the industry from the US to Japan. The NES was obviously the best-selling console of the generation, followed by the Master System, and then the Atari 7800. The third generation also began the production of 16-bit consoles, which made the second generation's 8-bit consoles obsolete. The fourth generation, or the 16-bit era, held the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega with the releases of the Super NES and the Sega Genesis, respectively. In lieu of the success of the Mario franchise, Sega created Sonic the Hedgehog. Nintendo, Atari, and Sega also released handheld consoles of their own, notably the Game Boy, Atari Lynx, and Game Gear. Moving on to the fifth generation, or the 32 to 64-bit era, the PlayStation was born and ultimately dominated as the best-selling console, leaving behind the Nintendo 64 and Sega Saturn. This generation also marked the change from 2D to 3D computer graphics, as well as ROM cartridges to optical discs. Notable consoles for this generation were the PlayStation, Atari Jaguar, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, and the handheld consoles of the Game Boy Pocket, Light, and Color. The sixth generation video games were known as the 128-bit era and came with the introduction of the PlayStation 2, aka the best-selling console in history. Xbox, the Sega Dreamcast, and Nintendo's GameCube and Game Boy Advance, SP, and Micro were also included in this generation. Performance was no longer measured by bits, but by the console's processor, clock speed, bandwidth, and memory size. The rise of online gaming also became an important highlight of this generation, which introduced each console's ability to tap into the internet with their own browsers and online gaming. Even more recently, the seventh generation, beginning in 2005, brought upon the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii, marking who the true champions of the video game industry were. Each console offered their own revolutionary function: Xbox HD native rendering of video games, PS3's ability to utilize HD graphics with its built-in Blu-ray player, and the Wii's controllers offered movement sensors. Of course, Sony and Microsoft had to attempt their own sort of movement sensor software with PlayStation Move and Kinect. Nintendo has clearly dominated the handheld console business with the production of the Nintendo DS and its successors, while PlayStation tried to counter them with the very successful PlayStation Portable. Currently, we are in the 8th generation of video games that tout the Wii U, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The 8th generation also faced a very unique issue of competition against smartphones, tablets, and smart TVs, though it's clear all three companies managed to prevail. Each console in this generation utilizes AMD processors, which are found in PCs in order to rival PC graphics. But what would these great consoles be without the games that made them revolutionary and loved? Beginning in the second generation, these are the milestone games that have made the video game industry what it is today, and how they have evolved throughout the years.
PlayStation